Hello and welcome to Grady and Jackson's book review podcast.
Today we will be reviewing Never Let Me Go by KAZUO ISHIGURO. Some major themes that we see in this book are humanity, maturity, nostalgia, and loss.
For humanity, we can look to the main plot of the story of how the students at this school, Hailsham, are actually clones. And in reality, their life's purpose is just to grow up and donate organs until they die. And so the themes of humanity arrive when you see all these characters trying to live their best lives and try to have human experiences knowing that they're only clones and knowing that they have a set fate and an expiration date almost.
And for humanity, we can also talk about the deferrals, which were a very large part of the book. The deferrals were a rumor that there was a way to get out of donating and be able to spend extra years without having to donate your organs to the people in Britain.
Very crucial to stay alive.
For maturity, we can see lots of character development throughout the story with many of the characters. Ruth being one main example of this. In the beginning, we see her as a very childish kid who tries to act like the older kids and do whatever they're doing.
Oh, and you can't forget about how she initially dates Tommy, but then comes back later and admits that she was kind of like manipulating Kathy because she knew that the whole time Tommy really likes Kathy.
She did say that Kathy was meant for Tommy, but she was too selfish. She didn't want to let him go.
And also for maturity, we see Kathy getting interested in adult content. She starts looking at these magazines of attractive women, and it's kind of like a moment of growth for her because she's not only going through like puberty and stuff, but she's also trying to find her possible, and that's why she's looking through these magazines. So the maturity and the coming of age kind of shows like in those moments where she's going through these magazines and she's kind of questioning things about herself. And those moments lead to growth. This book has a lot of moments of nostalgia and looking back to the past and lots of flashbacks. And even from the beginning of the book, we're seeing the perspective of Kathy from a flashback to her youth as she's now in the future as a carer. And a lot of things she kind of like sugarcoats and she makes them seem more bright because it's nostalgia that's really affecting like her perception of reality. Yeah, and to add on to that, there's also scenes like in the marsh where they all go to the old boat, that's the abandoned boat, and they all see it as like the school and how, even though it's old and run down, they still have lots of happy memories there, and it was still a beautiful place.
Yeah, that was a big part of the book when they announced that Hailsham was getting shut down.
That was a big part. I mean, just massive loss.
Speaking of
massive,
loss is our next theme of the book. Loss mainly affecting Kathy. She's in her adult life, she starts out as Ruth's carer, who she eventually loses due to the donation of her vital organs.
Oh.
And she eventually moves on to Tommy to be his carer, who she falls in love with and spends the last couple years of his life with her before he eventually passes on, leaving her with no friends left. A major character development that we can see throughout the book is Ruth. Ruth has been friends with Kathy and Tommy for their entire lives at Hailsham. But when they get to the cottages, they live with these people called veterans, who are a bit older than them, who Ruth seems to really look up to. She starts to hang out with the veterans instead of her friends and Kathy and Tommy. And when they go to Norfolk, instead of staying with Kathy and Tommy to find Kathy's camera, she goes with the veterans to go try and find one of their possibles, or someone like them out in society.
What a fake friend. But she does develop later on in the story when she's older and she's donated some organs, and she kind of apologizes to Kathy and to Tommy, and they meet up again in the future. So that's a moment of development for Ruth. And then we have Tommy. Tommy at the beginning of the story is kind of picked on as a kid, and when they're all at Hailsham, all the boys make fun of him even though he's more athletic, he outruns all them whenever they're like, you know, doing laps around the gym. He outpaces all them in soccer. He beats them all. And that's kind of just because he wants to spite them, because he knows they'll make fun of him, and he gets mad anytime that they make fun of him, no matter what. Like, even though the kids know that he's better, he always gets mad whenever they pick on him, so they keep picking on him. But Tommy eventually develops pretty quickly into the story, and he learns to just be calm. After a talk that he had with one of his mentors, he learns to just kind of stop caring, and that he doesn't need to put up this front that he's like better, and that helps him become a more level-headed person.
I thought it was very interesting how he was the only one who wasn't seen as creative, and his drawings were never put into Madame's gallery.
That's true.
Which is a very interesting part of the book. Madame's gallery wasn't revealed until the end that it was all set up to try and make the kids seem more human, which goes back to the humanity part as one of the major themes of the book.
And also, Tommy develops further in the end of the book when he does kind of bounce back and he starts to make this beautiful art. But that's not to put up for other people and to impress other people. He does that for his own good and to impress himself and show that he can overcome problems. So that's a review of Never Let Me Go by KAZUO.
I really like the book, and thank you for watching.